with Rick. All right, guys, welcome to another episode at RepStacks podcast. And my amazing guest today is Rick James, joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome to the show, Rick. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm an entrepreneur. Left my 9 to 5 probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Live here in Atlanta, Georgia. Own a company called Gym Grow that mainly focuses on fitness and lead generation, nurturing, and sales development. And then also a black belt in jujitsu. And I'm really big into martial arts and fitness. And so basically took my passion, took my skill set, put them together. And that's kind of how Gym Grow came about.
Nice, man. You summarize it so well. Just by listening to you, I can tell that you're doing an amazing job for your clients just by how you summarize Gym Grow. So before we go into the nitty gritty of your agency, Rick, I want to quickly talk about a little bit. You mentioned, you quit your day job about 4 years ago. Can you just walk us through what that entrepreneurial journey was like for you? Where you started out? Are you like born and raised in Atlanta? Excuse me, went to school here, and what kind of job you got yourself into? And then finally, what made you make the switch 4 years ago?
Sure. So I went to Valdosta State University. I was one of those kids that, I didn't know what I was supposed to do or what the right path was. My family never went to college. They're very, low income type family. They work 9 to 5 jobs. They don't, all we know is you go to college and then you get a degree and then you're going to get a job and you're going to make money. And then that's how life's going to be, right? Then you get married and you get a big fence and that's it, right? As long as you just check all the boxes, you're going to live the American dream, or so people said. And then after going to college, I wasted years I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do this. And when you're very young, you don't really know what your skill sets are, what your passions are. And so you're just kind of dabbling in all kinds of things. Eventually I found, I came up, I was in college in 2001. And this is really when technology and computers and the internet really started to take off in the early 2000s. And so it first started with me loving video games. I've loved video games since I was 2 years old. And so I was always I want to make video games. And I also want to make 3D animation, Pixar type movies. Because the Toy Story and those movies came out. And I'm like, that's so cool. That's what I want to do. I'm an artist. I can make art. I can make sculptures, but I want to do it digitally. VSU didn't have a digital art program. It didn't even exist at that time.
Yeah.
So then I transferred to the Art Institute of Atlanta that had a gaming department and all of that. And so I was going to college and I was building all of that. And then one day my best friend who worked at a automotive agency was like, hey man, I really need some help. I'll pay you 30 grand a year right now. And you come learn under me and we can grow this together. And he's my best friend and I trusted him a lot. So I was like, wait, 30 grand a year? I'm making $11 an hour right now. I couldn't refuse it. I was in a situation where I was like, I'll drop out of college right now. 30 grand is the most money I've ever heard of, right?
This is early in 2000s, right?
So that was probably around 2007, 2008, something like that.
Gotcha.
And so I took that opportunity and I was basically an account manager for automotive clients. And we had basically an email and SMS service. When somebody completes their, oil change, they'll get some text and emails. And so we had all these different life cycles, and every time they hit that life cycle, they would get some kind of notification. And that's basically what we did. And so I did that for 3 years, and I learned how to be an account manager, and I learned how to do sales, and I learned technology and all of those different things. After that, my business partner and I, or my best friend and I, came up with a strategy. And they're like, look, we need more experience in automotive, because the more experience we get, the better we can be knowledgeable about the different elements. And we need to live it. I don't need to just tell them how to sell a car. I need to sell a car myself. And so then him and I went and started working at a print facility who was one of our partners who did our direct mail. And so we worked there for 6 months. And then he got an opportunity to open a call center. There was a guy who was leaving his call center and he's like, hey, I got this automotive call center. You guys are kind of good at it. You want to take it over? And we're like, wait, we can own our own business? So then my business partner, or my best friend, went and he started it. And he's like, Rick, I need you to come over and manage this because you know everything and you can help me put it together. So then I went there. So then you got to think, we learned how to be an account manager, work with the dealers and the text messages and emails and how that works. Then we learned how the direct mail gets printed and the cost and the best strategies and all of that. Then we went to the call center, learned how the call center works and how it integrates with the CRM and how the leads come in and all of that. Then he got offered a opportunity to be basically a vice president of a gigantic automotive marketing company that did digital marketing. They did direct mail, which we were good at, and they were like, "Hey, you guys know direct mail? Will you come help us grow our direct mail because we're good at digital?" And we're like, "Well, hey, we don't know digital, so this is a good opportunity for us to kind of learn and grow." And they were a $50 million a month plus company. They were gigantic, so it was another opportunity that we couldn't refuse, right? And so then I became a regional rep for them, and I did direct mail, live calls, and social media, and kind of, coached them on how to use it, went over the reporting, and I was basically an account manager for, all their different advertising, and we controlled their entire advertising budget, which, these automotive companies, people got to understand, like they're spending 30, 40, 50 grand a month per location. So a lot of agencies right now are working with gyms. My gyms spend $1,000 a month, right? Yeah. Not a lot of pressure. A car dealership is spending 50 grand a month.
Yeah.
Not only that, I'm working directly with the GMs of a car dealership. The ultimate salesperson you've ever met in your life is the GM of a car dealership. So imagine every pitch, every conversation, every text, every email, that man is trying to work you. He is, he knows all your tactics. He's better at them than you are, and he's using them against you. So what it did for me is it just built this skin and this toughness where if I can overcome this, if I can be successful in this, if I can sell them $50,000 packages, and, the way they are, then every other industry I ever work in is a laydown. So then once I got in the gym industry and I start talking about Facebook ads, they're like, "Yeah, sounds great." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, there's got to be something else to this. And they're like, "No, we trust you and it sounds good. And let's get some leads going." And I'm like,
man, that's just such an amazing story. Before we move on there, Rick, I want to kind of reiterate a couple of things here. First of all, this friend of yours that you've been working with, not a lot of us have that opportunity where, like we're working with our best friends and building out our careers. And seems like, you're going from place to place and you guys are just going at it together. Like, tell me a little bit about that, because, most of us don't get that opportunity, especially early on in our careers. Like, how important was that for you to be working with somebody you trusted and somebody you call the best friend?
I think it's absolutely critical. And it started, we worked at a company called Converges when we were in college. And basically it was phone support for DirecTV. So, you have a DirecTV issue, you call in, they're like, "Yeah, I'll give you 3 months showtime. Let me reset your code," or, that old school stuff that they used to have to do. Reset your router and then I'll start working. It was funny. People would call me and I'd hit reset the router before I even answered the phone. Like, it started working. I'm like, it's magic. I don't know. So because I was savvy like that, and I'm a very process oriented, and I always tie it back to video games. I'm very good at solving puzzles, seeing consistent patterns, and being like, wait, if I just hit this button over and over again, I can win this game very easily. And so I take that mindset into my business and I look at it. I'm like, what is the pattern? And how do I beat this pattern? How do I make it fast? And that's kind of why I got good at that job. So what happened is quarterly, they brought up the best performers. Well, I was one of the best performers and my buddy JT was one of the best performers. I didn't know him at the time. And so we met and we're both young in college and was like, "What's up, dude? Killed it. Great job." Like every quarter it'd be me and him meeting up and we're like, "Hey, we're just going to own the company." And we'd like always joke, but keep in mind, we're making like $10 an hour. Like, we're nobody,
Yeah.
But you just kind of know when you meet another dude who's on it, you're kind of like, And so one day I came out of my apartment and he was sitting on his car outside of my apartment. And I was like, "Oh, dude, what are you doing here?" Like, we met at the work. And he's like, "Yeah, my friend lives here." And then we started hanging out because his friend lived right next door to me.
Nice.
So over time, we started building a relationship. And it was just one of those situations where we just clicked on every level. He got me, I got him. There's no pretentious, there's no secrets, no hiding. I'm like, no, this guy, he's high quality character. Character comes first, high work ethic. Like, he gets it. I can count on him. And over time, we just built this relationship to where he basically became my brother. He goes on family. I tell this story all the time. this guy's such a good friend of mine. He's been on a cruise with my mom and I wasn't there. So he's like part of my family now, right?
That's amazing, man. And I've seen that happen as well. Like, like I've always had this, I guess like exactly like what you're describing, right? That, the people that you connect with and are high quality people, I've had this intuition that, like, hey, this kid's working for me. He's got the best, this kid Mo came to me. I was working at Best Buy Canada back then. And, he's got this amazing bubbly character and he's great at sales. He's got this high integrity, and he's only 16 years old at that time. And I'm thinking, man, wouldn't it be nice to kind of somehow continue to work with Mo? I'm not sure how long I'm going to be at Best Buy, and I don't know what I'm doing next. But I kind of had that intuition, or just mental thought process. And long story short, I started my digital marketing agency in 2008. Mo started his carpet store in Calgary, Canada in 2010. He's been my client ever since, last 14 years, and we're friends, right? Like, he when he goes out of town, I babysit his dog Kobe and all of that stuff. And and I've done the same thing over and over again with people that I come across that I know are great, and it'll be amazing to work with these people because a coach of ours, Jeff Fisher, always says that with a friend, you can always, there's only limited amount of time, or conversations that you can only usually reminisce about, right? Old college friend and so on and on. There's, how much are you going to reminisce? But if you're really truly friends and you guys can continue to work together in some capacity, now you got a friend for life that you can come together, on a shared mission. Imagine working with your best friend like what you're doing right now. That's just amazing, man. That just makes me smile inside. That not a lot of people get to do that. But again, at the end of the day, it's not that hard. Just be honest, be upfront. I feel that manifestation is has to play a part there. Working with the right people, and here you are. Like, you built out the career, first part of your career, with your best friend.
That's
So,
right.
so amazing. So let's talk about the second half and how you guys got into Gym Grow.
So basically what happened is him and I were working at that agency that I told you about, automotive. He ended up moving on to become basically a consultant. And then I was left there. And it basically got to a point for me where, ego aside, very humbly, I take a step back and I look at the rest of my team and the people I was competing with. And I was like, man, I am so much better than everyone here. I perform better. My results are better. Everyone's
Mm,
telling me I'm better. The customers are like, it,
mm,
and when that and your bank account don't line up, you
mm,
start to kind of feel a little frustrated, right?
mm,
And so this was something that had been building in me over the past 10 years of us doing all these other jobs. It was like, hey, Rick, you come here. You're a killer. We're going to grow this. You're going to be rich. Well, Rick never got rich at any of these opportunities
yeah.
because like some other person would come in and then the whole program would change. And then you got a new pay structure. And then if you chase this one and chase that one, and it just kept changing because they were all growing companies, which I understood
Mm,
totally. But I was
mm,
never in a power position to where I got any of the bottom line or anything. And so then it got to a point where I started getting frustrated. And I'm like, look, I can't be looking at my bank account wondering what I'm going to eat every week and being your number one
mm,
guy. This does not work for me
mm,
anymore. But
mm,
initially, you don't have the courage because you don't believe in yourself. You think you need the company. When your
mm,
skill set gets better, you realize the company needs you. Because I, at any moment right now, if I close Gym Grow, I can go get a job and get 100K immediately. I know I can.
mm.
I know my skill set and I'm confident in it. Right. When you're first coming up and you have family and you have insurance and you have all these things, you're like, I can't, I'm not willing to take the risk.
Yeah, you're
That's the
always coming from a point of weakness, right? Like, you're always looking up instead of
scarcity.
looking down. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly, and that's so common.
So this is the thing. This is the moment that changed my trajectory forever. I got very frustrated about all of this. I finally was like, look, I'm not talking to managers anymore. I'm not talking to HR anymore. This is not getting me anywhere. I went straight to the CEO of that company. I booked a breakfast. I said, hey, man, can I have 45 minutes of your time? Let's have a breakfast. And let me just tell you my perspective on what I'm seeing in the business. And because I'd built my reputation so well and I'd never approached him like that, he was like, absolutely. Let's set up a time. I'd love to hear your. And also, he knew from all the sales meetings and everything I've been in, like they knew I was the honest guy. I wasn't the yes man. So there was a time he tried me and he said, he's like, hey, Rick, you're very outspoken. Tell me your honest thoughts on our software and our product. Scale of 1 to 10. I said, if I'm being honest with you, it's a 2. And I told him why. And I told him as like, in comparison, I have other ideas and I've been in, because I've done other things. I told him and he was like, you're the first person. Everybody else was like, it's an 8. We love it. It's great. It's incredible. And I was like, no, it's trash. And so then he gained another level of respect for me because he knew I was going to tell him how it was. Because I wanted the success of the company. I'm not just trying to look good. I don't care about that. I want money. Right. So then we had the meeting and I just straight up asked him, I said, am I your number one guy? Do I outperform everyone? He said, absolutely. And I said, then how come my paycheck doesn't fit that? Right. And then he was like, oh, I see what you're saying. And I said, the thing that frustrates me the most is everybody else in this company is walking around with their suits on, with their nose pointed about how good they are, how rich they are, driving their Mercedes, and they're so good and they're so awesome. And I am slaughtering them in my Braves hat and my hoodie. And I outperform them, but they walk around like they own this place and they're better than everybody. And I don't do that. And he's like, no, I know what you're saying. I was like, it pisses me off, bro. So then I said, here's what I want to do. This is how confident I am in my ability. I want you to have a sales presentation competition between the entire sales team. You come up with the competition, whatever it is, pitch this, pitch that, whatever you want to come up with. You give them a month notice to prepare. You tell me the day before. Give me 1 day. I'll come in and I'll slaughter them. And he goes, ooh, I like that. He's like, you're very confident. I was like, I need to prove to you, not talking so-and-so's the best, and I think so-and-so's the best. I'm going to show you I'm the best. And then there will be no discrepancy. So he did it. 3 months later, he announces this sales competition. I was like, oh, shit. Like I was kind of just talking shit. You know what I mean? I was like, wait a second. I'm actually going to have to do this. So then he tells me the day before. He's like, all right, Rick, here's your pitch. And so here's the funny part about it. Is this how big of a procrastinator I am? Not only did I not do it the night before, I did it 2 hours before I was supposed to present. So everybody does their presentation right, and we don't get to see anyone's. We don't, and it was in front of 13 people, all the main people at the company, and then about 5 or 8 head of dealerships, like big dog corporate, people. And you had to present to them, and they had to decide, like, I would buy from him, I would not buy from him, blah, 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 right? Here is where I beat everyone. I knew what they were going to do. They were trying to perfect the company's pitch, the pitch that everybody did. They were going to, how can I say it a little different? How can I add a video? They're not changing anything. They're pitching the same thing. So all I did was study my competition. I wrote down the 12 people I was going to be competing against. And I said, what is her style? What is his style? What are they going to do? I know how they think. I've seen their pitches. And so I just did it. And then I was like, not going to do that. Not going to do that. Not going to do that. I'm going to do it this way. Mine's going to be different. It's going to stand out. Boom. Right? Which it did. It was awesome. Right? So I do the pitch. Here is the thing that put me over. My pitch was good. I didn't think it was great. I just have a lot of enthusiasm and I got a lot of energy. That's what usually wins me in every scenario. But luckily I made this mistake. My phone rang in the middle of the presentation. I didn't put it on mute. It rang out loud. And then I was like, I looked down. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But I'm a very witty person and I'm quick. So I picked up my phone. I looked at it. I declined the call. I put it back in my pocket. And they were like, oh, who was calling you in the middle of the presentation? And I said, that's your competition calling. They heard we're hot. And they were like, oh, right? And they were like, oh my gosh. So then I just went to the pitch and I crushed them. And everybody was like, that was the bet. And then after that, it was a laydown. So then we all do the pitching. And I'm nervous. I was like, I bombed that. It was terrible. Somebody called. I wrote the whole deal, right? The next day, entire company, all 200 employees, we're going to do our announcement of who won. They went through the deal. They announced number 3. They announced number 2. And I'm like, dang it. This is going to look so bad that I didn't win. And he's like, winner, Rick James, three grand, blah, blah, blah. Gave me $3,000, right? I
Nice.
walked up to the CEO right when he announced my name. I walked up, I shook his hand, I looked in his face, I said, I told you. And he looks at me and goes, yes, you did. So then after that, then I proved to the entire company, right? So then I came back to him and I said, I need a new plan. Here's where he made a mistake. He said, make a plan that you think makes sense for you and how it can grow the company, and we'll look it over and come back to you. I went back to him and I said, you make 500 grand a year. I make 60 grand a year. You make the plan and I'll let you know if it works. Why should I have to do the work? You should be doing it. You make all the money. And so then we went back and forth, went back and forth, went back and forth. They sent me an offer that insulted me, and I put in my 2-week notice immediately. And I said, I already know my skill set. You know my skill set. You literally, and then they came back after I rebutted and they were like, yeah, you know what, Rick, we should have thought about that before we sent it to you because we had that talk. And I was like, you made the mistake. It's too late. You make 500 grand a year and you didn't think I just had this conversation with Rick. He just slaughtered everybody and I just gave him this default plan that I wasn't going to be mad. That just lets me know that you're not dialed in, that you're not paying attention. So now I don't want to work for you because I'm a nice guy and look what you did to me.
What was your fallback plan at this point, Rick?
My fallback plan was to start prospecting gyms and I had 1 or 2 gyms that I was working with that paid me like $500 a month. I was like, I'm just going to go all in on that. I had some savings where I could last 3 months. I didn't care. I was so insulted that I was not going to work one more day for that company. And I finally took the courage and the balls to say, I don't need you. And of course they panicked, which I love. That even proved it even more. They panicked. And then I went on my own deal. I struggled for 3 months. I got a part-time job doing water restoration for $15 an hour just so I could build my agency. And then this thing boomed. I found GHL. I got 1 customer. That customer referred me to 13 other customers, and the rest is history.
Nice, man. Nice. That's such an amazing story, man. It's all heart. And,
I try to show people, I apologize for interrupting. I try to show people that there was a time that I was running my agency, crawling in the underspace of an apartment, crawl space of an apartment in mud and spiders to do this water restoration job while growing my agency. I was willing to make that sacrifice to do the hard work. I knew it was below me. My coworkers when in that job was like, dude, what are you doing here? Like, you are not the person who does this kind of job. And I was like, but I need the money. I got to stay focused. I know what my goal is. It's going to grow if I just stick with it. And then when I got home from my work, social media, my agency, build it. I got to get it going as fast as possible because that job was killing me too. I'm not a manual labor person. I took a step back. In 3 months, I got it to 10 grand and then I could quit that job. And then, I started growing my agency.
Such a great story, man. That's amazing. Like how you found your true passion. And then the working out thing, working with gyms, this was all throughout your life.
Critical.
You've been working out and all of that stuff.
So this is what I tell people about an agency. Everyone says pick a niche. You don't need to pick a niche. You need to go where you already know people and you already have experience. That is the best way to start. If you're just like, you know what? I think I want to do mortgage. What do you know about mortgage? Who do you know you don't know anything about real estate. That's going to be really, can you do it? Absolutely. It's going to be hard. So I would start with a niche where you have a customer already connected in that niche. So I already had a person who owned a gym. And I went to him and said, hey, can I try running Facebook ads for you? I've done it for automotive. I know I can crush it. I won't charge anything. I just need to prove to myself that it can work. Absolutely. Ran the ads, got the performance. And then I said, hey, do you have any other gym owners that you can refer me to so I can start making money? And will you give me a testimonial video? They gave me the testimonial video. They referred me to their first friend. I charged $500. I asked him for a referral, charged them $500, asked them, started charging $1,000. And every time they referred me, I started charging more. And that's how I grew it and grew it and grew it and grew it.
You make it sound so simple, man.
I know. It is simple. It is simple. If the number one key, in my opinion, on the reason why I've been successful in my business, like in the past month, has shot through the roof. Because throughout my entire life, Gary Vee talks about this all the time. Good energy, doing good things for people at the end of the day will come back to you. Every person you meet, you need to plant a seed. And then over time, little water here, little water there. People call me how I got some of my customers and how I got the business I just got now, was hey Rick, I run my own business. I'm trying to do Facebook ads. Can you tell me how to target somebody? Yeah, sure, man. Here, boom. Hey, how much do I pay? You don't got to pay me anything. Hope you're successful. Great job. Hey, Rick, we need help with this. Do you know anything about? Yeah, man, just do this and blah, blah, blah. Hey, can you help my team? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I just kept doing that and kept doing that, kept doing. I didn't want anything in return. These people were already more successful than me. They don't need me. I need them. I just water and help and nurture and jab, like Gary talks about. And then when the time is right, you hit them with the hook. But here's the great thing about it. If you keep providing value to someone, at some point, they are going to ask you for business. I almost guarantee it. They feel obligated. And that's what the guy who recently has me as a consultant, he came back to me. He's like, dude, you've done so much for me in 2 years. You've never once asked me for money. Why is that? I was like, because I just like helping you, man. You're a great guy. You're successful. I like your product. I eventually want to do business. And I just thought it was the right thing to do. He said, great. I want to make you CBO of my business, blah, blah, blah. I want to make a great packet, blah, blah, blah. And then, so I highly recommend, like, networking is highly underused.
Yeah.
Network.
I think it's because, we just like, we're scared of it, right? We're thinking, we've been told that you got to network. And, a kid out of college or somebody who's, just doing media buying, they're just scared of it. And at the end of the day, it's really simple, right? Like how you've been doing it, relationship building, talking to people, helping people out without asking for anything in return. It's going to come back to you. It's simple. It's not overcomplicated. Let's not overcomplicate things. Help people out as much as you can. Just keep doing that. And, things do come full circle. So I totally agree with you, man.
I think part of it is, people are naturally insecure, which I totally understand. And people also think that everyone else in the space or in the world is significantly smarter and better and further along than you are. It's the same thing that happens in high level. You see somebody's profile picture in the post they make, and you're like, dude, this guy's agency's killing it. And then you meet him at the GHL event, and you're like, oh, wait, you're just a regular dude like me. You just have better PR. Like you're better at fronting. And I don't do that. I'm real on Facebook and Instagram who I am. I don't try to make myself look better or richer than I actually am, right?
Yeah.
And so once you start to meet these people, you realize that we're all the same. We're all trying to get along and move along and same goals. And so you don't have to know everything. They don't know everything. They're not that much better than you. You have some skills they're better than them. They have some skills that are better than you. And if you can find that comfortable marriage where you can help each other, that's where the synergy and the performance and things happen.
Rick, do you mind talking to me a little bit about what's the size of your agency right now, how many clients you're servicing and things like that, and what your pricing model is like?
Sure. So I'll tell you that the gym space was extremely hindered by COVID. So we started off probably in 2021, not very many customers. I would say maybe 30 of just our prime customers because gyms had to close. We're now at about 120 gyms, something like that.
Nice.
Actually, let me take that back. I think it's like 146 because we just signed on 11 more. We've grown bigger than that. It gets to a point when you own a business and you automate your agency that I'm not even really involved anymore.
Nice.
But yeah, I think we have about 146. My pricing model works like this. Because I use GHL, I have a $497 package that is GHL full solution, full service, built out, done for you as far as the build out, and then you get support after that. Okay. And that includes, we've done all the nurture sequences, built all the funnels. We also have some added value things that we add on top of it, like UpHex and a couple of other technologies, just to add more to it. My second package is called our Pro package, and that's basically where you're going to add in what we call human nurturing. So we'll do all the automated nurture. If somebody responds to that, my human team will answer all those conversations for you as well, right? We basically built our packages by being in the business, finding out where the gyms fall short, and then saying, okay, how can we automate that? How can we do that for them? Because if the gyms don't perform, our agencies don't perform. I don't care what nobody says. Delivering the lead is not enough.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm not getting them to the door, booking the appointment, giving them a little bit of a sales process included in that, like it's going to fall flat. And at the end of the day, you get blamed, even though they're the ones who are falling short.
Yeah. So they're not professional salespeople. They're not, they got a good deal going when the person is through the door. They're not going to let you walk, but getting them, getting all these leads in, and I've seen this through my career as well in digital marketing, where you can be sending in 100 leads, but they have no clue, they have no processes, they have no follow-up sequences in place, got nothing going on there. So you've kind of bridged that gap where you're providing your sales team is actually calling these leads up and booking these appointments so that these people can come in and walk through the door. Is that correct?
Yeah. And not only that, so first we're like, generate the lead. Facebook ads, we're really good at that. Great, got it. Then we're like, all right, we need to nurture these leads better so we can get them to book as much automated as possible. And then we're like, all right, we notice they're not logging in and they're not responding to these customers that are saying, I'll come in tomorrow, and nobody's booking the appointment. So then we did the nurturing. And then we're like, all right, wait a second. Nurturing and text and emails not enough because everybody's oversensitized. We need to still make phone calls, human interaction. So then we added that part. And they're like, all right, cool. We got them all these leads and all these appointments, but they can't sell anything because their reps are order takers. They're not salespeople. They're waiting for people to come in and say, yeah, I want to sign up for a membership. Here's my card. Well, that's not how it works. And if you're trying to sell PT and you're trying to stay positive on your ROI, you got to have some salesmanship and sell them some packages. Yeah. So then we partnered with a coaching program who specifically works with gyms, and we just brought it all together. So now we have a full solution. So we're just adding when we find a problem, we're like, how can we automate that or partner with somebody who does it better than we do? And that's kind of what we've done.
Amazing, man. So that's another cool thing that you just touched upon, partnering with a coaching service. So is this coaching service like almost like a joint venture for you guys as well, where
it is
you're
now
also getting some customers back from them?
Yep. So
that's awesome, man.
Every single customer I have, past and present, has been 100% through referral. I have not spent $1 on advertising. I've not done an organic post. I've not done a LinkedIn DM. I've not done cold calls. I've not done any of that. All I've done is
word of mouth
relationships with the right people. So I found a billing company that does billing for gyms. So every time somebody's membership, they charge the card and charge a percentage, kind of like Stripe. They only do gyms. Met with them and they're like, wait, you do marketing? And I'm like, yeah. And then I told them, like, look, listen, if I market and bring your gyms more customers, you're going to get to bill more. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, so let's partner together. You give me your customers, refer them to me. I'll get them more customers and you'll make more money. And they're like, genius. So then I partnered with them. Right. Then I found the coaching program and I'm like, you're really good at coaching, but your people need more traffic. So I brought the traffic, he brought the coaching. So now I refer people to him, he refers people to me. And it's just this harmonious relationship of just everybody referring. And then I also have my own in-gym referral. So I'll do things like this. If my client falls 2 months behind, $1,000 or whatever, I say, I tell you what, you don't have to pay that. Give me a video testimonial and refer me to 2 people and I'll wipe that charge away.
Nice.
Because I already know if they're 2 months behind, they're 1 month away from canceling. And then I don't get any money. And let me tell you, chasing these digital contracts in the courtroom, waste of time. Waste of money. You're going to lose more money than it's even worth. Not even worth it. So they don't know that. So then I tell them, like, hey, instead of us having to go through this BS, man, just give me a testimony, refer me to 2 friends. I'll wipe your bill. We'll start clean. Now they're kind of like tied to me. Now they're like, man, this guy did so much for me. Yeah. And then I just keep using little strategies like that to kind of, I call it positive manipulation, right? Manipulation, people put a negative connotation on that word. It doesn't have to be negative. It depends on what your intentions are behind it.
Positive reinforcement. I love it. So that's your entire marketing strategy. I was going to talk to you about it, but that's basically it. Strategic relationships, excuse me, helping people out where you can. And it's 100% organic word of mouth. So you haven't done any marketing for yourself. Just you align yourself with the right people, and 140 plus clients right now, and you're just seems like you're just only getting started right now. So,
yeah, and it's not that we're not going to do those other marketing, but I built this baby out of my spare bedroom. This is Gym Grow is Rick. I built this, right? This is my baby. So world-class service and world-class execution is my number one priority. And as you scale $10,000, $30,000, $50,000 a month, all these problems start to come out.
Yeah.
So I said, let's control the flow. Let me turn down the drip a little bit. Let's only take 10 clients a month to add on so that we can perfect our onboarding, perfect our customer journey, perfect our reporting, perfect all that.
Mm,
So I've personally controlled the flow because we're already net positive. We're good on money. I can pay everybody.
mm,
I don't need to be a millionaire right now. I need high quality execution so that when my name and my brand goes out there, people know he can deliver guaranteed. Now, do we make mistakes and have we lost clients because we bombed it? Like, absolutely. So that's why because we've had enough business through those referrals, I haven't need to do that yet. But once we're very confident and our execution is pretty much automated, then we're going to open the floodgates, start running ads and doing those other things. But we've been very, lucky with the different strategic partners we've had. So that's kind of helped us a lot.
that's awesome, man. So tell me a little bit about how big your team is right now. How are you guys fulfilling? Do you have a client success team right now? And how are different departments working inside your organization?
Sure. So right now I'm the owner. I have a co-owner. My job is mainly front end sales and strategic partnerships, right? Clearly.
Duh.
His role is he's basically COO operations. Under them, we have a head of technical support who handles everything at GHL, Zapier, all the technical stuff, meeting with clients and helping them integrate. I have a project manager who manages ClickUp and makes sure tasks are done on time and they're prioritized the right way. And she also answers support email, support text, and then just assigns tasks to the right people to get it done. After that, it then pretty much I do have an account success manager. I have two of them. One is for one group of gyms, one is for another group of gyms, and they basically do all the front end communication with current clients. New
Mm,
Facebook ad you want to run? Great. Here's how you should do it. Here's my offer suggestions, keeping them happy, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And then after that, under that, the execution team is all VAs. So then
Mm,
it goes to a VA. I have one VA who runs Facebook ads, one that does Google ads, one that does GMB. I have 3 or 4 nurturers. And then I also have a reporting VA who pulls different reports and put things together, all the little admin tasks that are daily that somebody has to do. So I believe I have 13 employees total.
that's pretty lean, man, for the size that you guys are at already. That's awesome. Most people would be at around 20. Sometimes I've seen like 30 to 40 people at this stage as well. So running a pretty lean operation at this point.
I think
Um,
it's systems and processes. And once you
mm,
simplify your offering, people try to do too much. Do
yeah.
one thing, be the best at that, become a millionaire at doing that one thing, and then you can add the next thing. If you're not an expert at Facebook ad lead generation and nurturing, why are you going into TikTok ads?
Mm,
For example,
totally.
I know you want to diversify, right? And we had all these other ideas that we were going into, but then we're like, wait a second, we only have 140 clients on Facebook ads. Like there are 30,000 gyms just in the United States. We're not even close to scratching the surface. Before we try to create more problems, like let's go maximize what we're already good at.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
then that
totally.
simplifies it. Then you build out your SOPs. Then you find ways to automate the onboarding and automate the generation. And then we make our clients submit your own Facebook ads. And then we build it out. And then it becomes so scalable. You're like, I can step away. I
Mm.
maybe work, 5 hours a week in my business, maybe.
Nice, nice. What about the sales strategy, Rick? What's that like? So people come in already pre-positioned to buy because they've been referred to you by someone, and how do you take them to closing? Or how long is that process? And is it just you on the sales side, or do you have anybody else helping you out?
I have another sales guy who also does it. When the leads come in, they're warm-ish. They still have other agencies they work with and other systems and
Mm,
processes. So I still have to close them, but the trust factor is already there. They already know their friend has
mm,
used it or it's recommended to them. So it's a little bit easier. Depending on the size of the business, some of them take a couple months, some of them are immediate and sign up right away. But usually I do some kind of demo and it kind of varies depending on the conversation. So I kind of do a discovery for the first 5 minutes. Who are you currently using? What are you used to using? Do you have an agency? Do you have a CRM? And then based on who I'm talking to and what their knowledge level is how I take them through the demo, right? If they're an
mm,
owner and they're very like high level, but they don't understand funnels or anything like that, I just talk to them about how this can help them, how it can be more efficient for their team, how they can get better results. And if they want to see stuff, I'll show them like a deck. If I'm talking
mm,
to a marketing operations person who understands funnels and has done this kind of thing before, then I'll do a demo of the product and say, hey, you used to use ClickFunnels. Now you have this, and this is how it connects, and you don't need Zapier and blah, 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 blah. And I show them how it's more organized and easier. And then they're like, oh my gosh, that works so much better because GHL is a great tool, and then,
Mm.
so I kind of use it a little organically. I have a flow that I go through, but I base it on what I know, whatever I hear in their voice, man, nurture sequences. So I make sure to key on nurture sequences and how we have that pre-built for them and, that type of thing. So
So
they kind of,
so it'll take you a couple of calls usually to close the deal.
no, I wouldn't say that. It depends. Usually the first call. So when I get a lead, usually I call that person right away, introduce myself, talk to them, get an idea. How big's your business? Who's going to meet with us? What your struggles are? What are you trying to accomplish? Great. Let's get on the demo. And then I kind of lay out a plan. Once I put the demo, unless they need another person to hear it again, because, hey, I want my CMO
Mm.
to hear this or so-and-so,
Mm.
usually it's a one call close. I send them
One call
the contract.
close.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
Usually,
man.
unless they're a big organization, if you don't close them on that one call, you're probably not going to get them.
Yeah, yeah.
Big
And
organizations
again,
take time and they have more people involved, so they don't make rash decisions like that. But if it's a
yeah,
one-off gym or one-off business owner, you want to try to close them while they're hot and while they're thinking about it, because usually what happens
yeah.
is they forget about it, they go do some research, they get distracted, they find somebody else, and then they lose the enthusiasm they had for your product.
Yeah, and I think that's the traditional ways in the agency world's been like, let's do a proper discovery call, then we're gonna do the pitch, and sometimes it's like 2 to 3 calls in between by the time you're trying to close the deal. And what I've seen like that's been working really great lately is this one call method. Like you did that this minor pre-qualification with that phone call, get the temperature of the water, and now you're good to go in that call. And if they're a real buyer, they should be saying yes to you right on that call. Again, it's not overcomplicated. You make it sound very, very simple, Rick. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get a lot of help out of this one. But how Rick's doing it, it's not overcomplicating, right? So simple, to the point. If it's the right buyer, if it connects, if you guys are able to connect the dots and answer most of those questions, which, if you have the right product knowledge and things like that, it shouldn't be a problem getting a yes on that first call from the client, getting them signed up, and the rest is history. This is amazing, man. And just the last few questions before we wrap this up. What about now that you guys are growing steadily and you guys got like 140 plus clients? What's the strategy on you touched on that a little bit on the retention side, like these dedicated account managers retaining this recurring revenue that you guys have so hardly worked so hard on. So what's the strategy there? Like how is the retention percentages inside your business, and what's your go-to strategy to retain maximum amount of these gyms?
Sure. So I probably say that this is probably the hardest part of it, because like once you get somebody's money and you get them set up and you get them running, you have a natural tendency to kind of forget about them and move on to the next one because you're like, oh, I sold that one, I
Mm-hmm.
got the money, that everything is rolling, but
Mm-hmm.
they still need attention. They're like children. You still got to give them some love and keep them feedback. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's a couple of things that you have to think about as you're scaling. The first one is that when I was doing it all myself, I had 100% retention because
Mm-hmm.
I love the business. It's my money going into my direct pocket, and I'm going to protect that money. And I gave them my word, my face. And so I take
Mm-hmm.
that very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
As you start to scale, and one of my customers said this to me, and it kind of triggered that. He said, Rick, what happens when you get 100 clients and you become a millionaire? He's like, I'm never going to talk to you again. And you're the guy. I hear it in
Yeah.
your voice. You're the one. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, that's a great question. And of course, I was like, man, you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to be here forever. And I love you guys. And yeah, that sounds good until you scale.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I think what's super important about the retention part is you need to build out your life cycle, especially in the first 30 to 90 days. It has to
Mm-hmm.
be very thorough where you're giving them small wins in the very beginning where they can see wins immediately.
Yeah.
Right. And so one of the best things that I did was I structured and actually elongated my onboarding process. People think
Mm-hmm.
onboard fast. Well, when you have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of products and a lot of services, they all get kind of jumbled together and they mix together. And then you don't really get the true value of each individual part of it. Like reputation management, for example. When they
Mm-hmm.
see our results and like, hey, we got some great Facebook ads and everything's going good. I'm like, but what about the 30 reviews we just got you when you only had 10 when we first started? That gets wiped under the rug because it's all mashed together with their text
Yeah.
blasts and their funnels, and they just can't really. So we structure it out where we say, hey, when we first start, we're going to get you onboarded. We're going to launch you with a database reactivation campaign. It's a great way where we can use leads that you already have. You're not spending extra money. Get some of that traffic
Mm,
coming in nice and slow. Get your people used to the tool before we send you 100 leads and people get overwhelmed and get mad.
mm.
Great. Database performance. Man, you sold 10 of them. We got you 30 appointments. That's great. Is your team ready to start the Facebook ads? Yes, they are. Stage 2, launching Facebook ads. Great. Here's how Facebook ads work. Here's your offer. Here's how we're going to do it. Have you got a couple yet? Great. Have you booked an appointment with them? Awesome. Do you have any questions? No. Cool. In a week, I'm coming back with a little text, a little email. Hey, man, your leads are killing it. You got 10, 2 for $1. Keep up the good work. We'll talk to you later. Right?
Mm.
Then, hey, have you talked about hitting your existing customers with some kind of upsell? And so we just slowly do that onboarding process so they can really appreciate each bite of the pie they're taking. Right.
Yeah.
And so then they see the value in each one of those products. Right.
Mm.
Eventually, when you're running an agency, they're going to think you just run Facebook ads. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, I do so much more than that. You guys have just lost track of it, right? So I think segmenting out your onboarding is really important, and also having consistent communication with them. And we do one week is the first week is reporting on how the previous month went. Mid-month, it's checking in to see how your month is going. The third week,
Nice.
letting them know performance and how it's going and what you want to do for the end of the month. And then we do that same cycle, and we built it in a high level where it automatically prompts them. So on the 15th of every month, all of our clients get a survey that says, hey, happy face or sad face? How are you feeling right now? Are you selling? Are you not selling? Do you have leads? Do you not have leads? They answer those questions. The surveys come to us. My account manager is like, oh, got to call that one. Got to call that one. He's good. He's good. He's good. So it just helps your team to focus on the right people. You don't have to talk to all 30, all 50, all 100 clients every month, but those ones that aren't kind of feeling that well, like, let's give them some extra love. And then just throw in a couple of little touch points to keep them excited. Like, that's why I like personal communication. My gym owners love me because I'll text them at 11:30 at night on purpose. Hey, your Facebook ads are killing it. And then they're like, this dude's working on my business at 11:30 at night. Guys, you want a strategy? Awesome, spend a day, build all your reports in an email. The email you're going to send to the business. Schedule the email to go out at 6:37 a.m. And now they're like, dude, this guy's on it. I built that report at 5 p.m. in the afternoon. I just set it for 6:37 a.m. So he's like, wow. First things he sees on his inbox is Rick, 6:30 a.m. He's already sending me reporting like these. It's all about perception.
Perception. Right? I think biggest takeaway, like, this is amazing, right? Because I think retention is, as you start growing your agency, retention becomes the biggest problem because you're closing deals here and then people are just leaving right out the door, and you don't want to do that. And I think you really, really hit the nail on the head there, Rick, by saying that number one, I think, like, this is something unique that I'm hearing for the first time, that, have a segmented onboarding process so that they can get a feel of all your services, not just all jumbled together. So that's beautiful. Spread it out over the next 90 days if you can. And then, really, we work with an amazing coach, Josh Nelson, and he keeps on saying this thing over and over again, that, clients leave because of perceived indifference. It's not because we're not killing it for them. We're doing an amazing job. It's just that we're not communicating enough with them. And you've built this thing out amazingly inside your organization, where you guys are sending emails at a text message at 11 p.m. and an email at 6 a.m. It gives them that perception that you just talked about, that you guys are just on it all the time. And that's the survey in the middle of the month, that's a killer technique right there. So, anyone who's growing your agency, these are some amazing value bombs, Rick. Final question for you, Rick. I know you've been amazing, man. Thanks a lot. This podcast is going to go amazingly for a lot of people. Final question is for people who are starting out their agency. What would your word of advice be for them?
If you're just starting out, and it depends on your experience level, I'll be honest with you, I highly recommend going and getting a job in that industry. Live that life. Build your agency on the side, but you need to be in it. If you really, truly care, and this is a passion of yours and you're going to grow it, you need to know their pain points and you need to feel them yourself. Not just what they tell you, but you need to experience it so you can understand the reason why I'm powerful as a person is because I understand the entire journey. I've built a Facebook ad. I put the lead in a CRM. I've nurtured the lead. I've called the lead at a call center. I've worked at the dealership where I got the lead. I've met the person at the front door. I've sold them. So I've seen the entire journey. And so when I'm talking to my clients, I can better understand their problems. The next thing I would say is slow down on and simplify what you're telling your clients. These people don't live your life. They don't understand GHL. They don't understand Facebook ads. They don't understand the value of it. You have to simplify your terminology and slow down the way you're talking to them so that they can follow along and use it in layman's terms so they can better understand. You got to paint a picture in their head. If you're talking tech and how it connects and man, and then it zaps over here and a webhook and then it webhook, they don't give a shit about that.
And I guess you won't be able to do that. You won't do that if you've kind of gotten a first-hand experience inside that particular niche, right? Like, because you know what it is to live like a gym owner and be on the edge, and understand all the pain points, and you'd be able to really easily connect the dots for them. But if you're just coming from a point of agency owner, I'm going to grow this thing, to the moon and back. There's going to be a disconnect, and I think that's. I totally agree with you there, Rick. What a profound statement you just made, man, that, go and get a job in that particular niche. And, I've seen so many successful agency owners like yourself crushing it because they've been involved in that particular niche and they've given their literally blood and sweat to that niche before they started an agency. And, my humble example is also very similar to yours where, I have a 14-year digital marketing agency running in Calgary, not as successful as yours, but I've gone through the pains, I've gone through the ups and downs. If this credit card payment doesn't go through tomorrow,
right.
I'm not going to be able to pay my rent the day after, right? This client better pay up. And I've gone through that stuff and, running, having a job on the side and then finally going full time. And then in 2017, there was a rough patch. I had to go out and do some food deliveries again and things like that. So, been through that. And now to a point where, we're working strictly with digital marketing agency owners, I can really, really relate to them, like the pain points that they're feeling and things like that. So it just makes it a lot easier. People trust you a lot more, I believe, when you're coming from the same industry.
You speak the language.
You speak the language. There you go.
Right. And that's what they say to me all the time. They're like, no, you clearly know this. You've been and you've done this. But it's not the only way. You can 100% do this with zero experience in that niche. But you have to get a mentor. You have to buy a course. You have to invest in that business. So Grant Cardone talks about this. Like, if you have $5,000 or $2,000 in your pocket, what should I invest in to get a return? The number one return you're going to get in the United States is investing in yourself. Investing in myself, it gives me exponential growth. From any kind of return on investment, you're looking maybe 8 to 10%, something like that. The knowledge I can gain is substantially larger than 8 to 10%. So that knowledge of buying that course is worth it. But here is the number one thing that got me and that will get everybody. Shiny object syndrome. You're always going to have some new feature, some new technology, some new platform, some new coach, some new Facebook ad that you think is going to be the way. And you're going to jump from each one of them thinking that's going to be the one that's going to propel you. The one that's going to propel you is the one you see all the way through. If you went to ClickFunnels, love them, Russell Brunson, shout out, great guy. If you've done everything you can with ClickFunnels and it can't work for you, then move on to the next thing. But what I guarantee people do is they buy a course, they go through 10% of it. They're really enthusiastic when they start to go through it. And then they forget about it. And then a week later, 2 weeks later, they paid that $297. They never get that money back and they never get the value from it. Or they join a Facebook group. They're hot on it at first and then it starts to fade because they don't see it through. So what changed my business is when my back was against the wall, I had no 9 to 5. I burned my ship. There was no escape boat. I
Yeah.
found
Yeah.
GHL and I dove in for months and was like, I have to solve it. I have to figure it out. And once I like really dove in and dug deeper and went to the Facebook groups and kept going deeper and deeper, the solution started coming to me. So I tell people the same way I teach jujitsu. I'm a black belt in jujitsu. I tell people, if you're looking for the perfect technique, you're never going to find it. The answer is the search for it. When you search this Facebook group, you're going to find one nugget. When you get on a call with this guy, you're going to find one nugget. And over time, all those nuggets are going to add up. And then all of a sudden you have the answer you were looking for. And you're like, wait, how did that happen? I never found the answer, but you did find the answer through your enthusiasm, through your search, through your passion. Your your passion is not built 9 to 5. It's built 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. When you're
it's a
home,
journey.
in your spare time, that's what I tell people. The difference, the reason why people are working a 9 to 5 and I'm not, is because when I got home, I was working on my computer, and my girlfriend, she walks in all the time, like, what are you doing at midnight? And I'm like, well, I wanted to make my own cover photo. So then I downloaded this app and I started making cover photos. And then I was like, but I want to make my own video. And so I just kept grinding and grinding and grinding until I gained all these skill sets. Right? If you're just waiting for it to happen, like, it's not going to happen. Like, you got to get in there and like really start doing it. I want to find out Google Meet, schedule a Google Meet and start doing it with somebody, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And it's that journey, right? That pursuit of learning. And if you kind of like what I got from this last bit of information, Rick, is that if you can afford it, invest in yourself,
100%.
invest in a coaching service, invest in a course that will get you to the next level. And I think I totally agree with you there as well. Is, you know, I got the major breakthroughs in my career when I invested in a coaching program. I think it buys you speed. You know, you can keep doing it by yourself. But you know, if you really want to kind of buckle down, find a really awesome coach or a course within that particular niche and invest in that instead of just, you know, being scattered and going after the shiny object syndrome. Like,
well, you just waste a lot of money and a lot of time, and you also lose your enthusiasm over time, because then you start to think that maybe I can't do this, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah, it's not working.
Or they have some advantage that I don't have.
Yeah.
So you always start with a coach who's near your level. You'll see pitches from certain people, how to get your first 10K. Well, if you're under 10K, that's the guy you should be with. I know Josh Nelson. If you're not close to 50,000 or 100,000, his 7-figure agency doesn't really make sense for you because you're not even off the ground yet. And so you got to there's levels to it. And every level, there's a person who's there who can help you get along that way. And the return on investment is gigantic. People they think of it more of it as an expense than they do an investment. And that's where the mindset, you have to change your mindset and understand money a little bit better. And, you know, how big of a blue ocean just money in general is. Yeah. There are billions upon trillions of customers and money out there just waiting for you. You just have to go out there and get it.
Totally, man. Rick, this has been a pleasure, man. We went seriously over time limits today, but I'm sure this is going to be an amazing podcast for a lot of agency owners out there. I'm going to be, Fatima, can we post, I guess we got jimgrows.com right up there. And people can contact you through your website. And here it is. Fatima's going to put it up. But, you know, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. I'm sure we're going to get to talk to each other real soon. And again, you know, really, really want to thank you for your time today, man.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. Love the opportunity. Anytime I can help people, I'm a humanitarian at heart. I just love to help people. That's how I got the success that I did. ATL Rick James on any platform, you'll find me. I'll be glad to help. I want to see people successful. And if I can do that, then I'll have all the riches in the world. So appreciate the time today.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Rick. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. See ya.